Happy Friday and welcome to the on-the-road edition of WatchGuard Security Week in Review, a video podcast dedicated to quickly summarizing the biggest information and network security stories each week and to sharing some practical security tips along the way. I'm your host and all-around security nerd, Corey Knockreiner, and this is the episode for the week starting May 6, 2013. As is common lately, I'm on the road right now attending the Interop IT networking show here in Vegas. So this episode will be very brief, only covering about 4 security stories. Let's start with some Microsoft news, including a new zero-day Internet Explorer vulnerability that's spreading in the wild, and news of upcoming patch day. First of all, in the text edition of WatchGuard Security Center last week, I talked about how the Department of Labor in the US's website was hacked by attackers and leveraged to deliver malware to the important people that tend to visit the Department of Labor's site. As it turns out, the attackers leveraged the Internet Explorer 8 zero-day vulnerability to help carry out this attack. And recently, the creator of Metasploit has added the exploit for this particular zero-day attack to the Metasploit framework. To combat this, Microsoft actually released a fix-it workaround on Wednesday. So if you are worried about this vulnerability and use Internet Explorer 8, I highly recommend you go and grab this fix-it as soon as possible. Furthermore, this being the first Thursday of the month, Microsoft also announced the upcoming patch day for next Tuesday. They plan on releasing 10 security bulletins to fix 34 vulnerabilities in products like Windows, Internet Explorer, Office, and a few others. And you can be assured that this Internet Explorer 8 vulnerability will also be corrected in a more complete fashion during next Tuesday's patch day. So if you're a Microsoft administrator, be sure to go and check out patch day next Tuesday. We'll be sure to post about it on the WatchGuard Security Center blog. Another interesting security story from early in the week was a popular satire site, The Onion, actually had their Twitter feed hijacked by the Syrian Electronic Army. And during this hijack, the Syrian Electronic Army used The Onion's Twitter feed to post some anti-Israeli messages. As it turned out, the attack was all due to a pretty basic phishing scheme. These guys sent some very basic phishing emails to some of the people at The Onion, asking them to look at a Washington Post post about The Onion, which was actually not really to the Washington Post. The link went somewhere else, and then leveraged a vulnerability to get malware on some users' systems so that they could hijack passwords or whatever. In any case, The Onion has actually taken care of the breach, and they humorously also posted some very funny articles talking about the breach themselves. But it goes to show you that some very basic phishing emails, including ones that try to just get you to give up your credentials, still work quite well. To defend yourself, I first of all recommend you use some anti-spam services like those that we provide on our XTM appliance, which tend to cut down these mass spreading phishing emails, but you should also train your employees on how to recognize signs of a phishing email. Over the past few weeks, including last week's text version of my weekly post, I've been talking about some mysterious web server attacks that seem to be mostly targeting Apache servers and sometimes servers that ran cPanel. And once these attacks injected some malicious code into your web server, they were very good at hiding and resulting in watering hole attacks where they could force your visitors to some other evil sites. In any case, there's some new updates about this mysterious new attack. It turns out the attackers that have created this web malware, which is being either called Dark Leech or Sea-Dorked, depending on who you ask about it, they've actually designed versions of this web Trojan that also affect Light HTTP and Nginx, which is spelled Nginx. So these are other web servers, open source web servers, different than Apache. So don't think that if you're not an Apache administrator, you're not affected by these particular attacks. Now, unfortunately, there's still no concrete details on how the initial infection occurs, how the the attackers initially gained control of these web servers once they backdoored them or Trojaned them. They may be actually leveraging different attacks in every different case for the web servers they exploit. In any case, it's new developments to this very interesting story. If you run any sort of open source Linux web server, you really should be careful of this type of attack. So let me finish off with the biggest news of the week, which is a really big credit card and banking heist that has gone around the world globally. During the week, some New York prosecutors released some public documents about a case against a cybercrime gang that had done a great job of stealing $45 million using a very complex credit card hijacking scheme. Here's how the cyber heist went down. It was probably financed by some traditional cybercrime group who financed a group of hackers or attackers to gain access to a couple banks in the Middle East as well as a payment processor in the US. And by gaining access to the payment processor and these banks, the attackers were able to gain access to systems that contained credit card information as well as enough control to actually reset the PIN for those credit cards and even actually take off any restrictions to maximum withdrawals or maximum balances. They then shared this digital data with an army of classical, old school criminals. You know, we call them mules in the cybercrime industry. These are people that are out on the street that convert that digital track 1 or track 2 data to a cloned credit card. And what was really interesting about this attack is this global group of criminals all at the same time synchronized and used these cloned credit cards to quickly withdraw large amounts from banks all over the world, resulting in that $45 million stolen amount. In fact, they were able to steal $2.4 million simply from ATMs in New York alone. So this was an extremely big cyber heist, one of the biggest ever. The good news is the authorities have caught some of the people that were responsible for doing these ATM withdrawals, so hopefully they'll catch this particular cybercrime. So that's it for this week's quick video, but as usual, there are many other security stories this week, so be sure to check out the reference section of the WatchGuard Security Center blog post associated with this video for some other stories you might be interested in. And you should also follow the WatchGuard Security Center blog just for other general security posts. You can also follow me on Twitter, I'm at SecAdept, or follow WatchGuard at WatchGuardTech. As always, thank you for watching, and here at WatchGuard, we're rooting for you.